Hello and welcome to the Sunday interview. After successfully leading the Students' Union government at the Lagos State University in the 90s, it will surprise you to know that our guest today is the first science student to ever become the Lagos State University Students' Union government president. Wondering who he is? You'll get to know after this break. Welcome back, and you're still watching the Sunday interview. Now, Ayodele, tell us a bit about yourself. What were your growing up days like?
My growing up days was like every normal kid in the hood. I loved to play around, meet people, but then we were always locked up in the house. We hardly go out, and once in a while, when we are on holiday, our parents would take us to our grand auntie's place or our grandparents' place, and that was the only opportunity for us to meet people aside from being in the school environment. Even then, I remember my grand auntie, Mrs. Doherty, and then they call her Atwe. She was a disciplinarian. She lived at Adebola Street at Surulere. The building where Chicken George had to start the operation then. I remember we had a fruit tree, so we always be in the compound. They don't allow us go out. The least you do, climb the fruit tree and just peep out the fence and see cars driving about. And by 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock, we normally have our siesta around 2 to 4. 4, they wake you up, you do your lesson, remedial classes. We were forced to watch the news by 7. You must watch the news, and you watch little TV, cartoon, and by 8 o'clock, you're back to bed.
So your early days were in Surulere?
My early days was everywhere.
Everywhere?
Everywhere. Festac, Lagos Island, Makati.
Okay.
My grandparents were staying at Makati.
That's around Boyle?
Makati was in front of, I think about 15, very close to race course. Yes, opposite the Ghanaian embassy. That's where my great-grandparents started from. So we owned the 2 buildings, 15 and I think 18 then. Their family members will also meet every December and all. Their family reunion. Because my great-great-grandfather that migrated from Sierra Leone started from there. So all of the offspring will meet there to remember him. He died on the 1st of January. So that's where you see all family members coming from all over the world meeting together and all. There too were locked up. You had no opportunity of coming down. At least you see the dogs. Lagos was beautiful. You see them bringing the dogs in the evening. There was this Saipan company very close to our house. In the evening, they put on the street lights around 6 p.m. My neighbor was a West Indies. I remember Paul and Trixie. They were West Indies. You could not go to Araromi or go to Berkeley. You dare not. At the least they would take you to watch the cinema Plaza. Okay. We had Plaza then, and that was it. Yeah. Then
you studied chemistry.
Yes, in LASU.
And you're in politics. What's the connection? Because I know science students tend to be very, very studious. They didn't have time for going out and partying. They're really studious. So how come? How did you get into politics?
There was a turning point in my life when I was in LASU. There was a turning point. I never wanted to go to LASU, quite frankly. I saw LASU as a glorified secondary school then. Our aspiration was to go to Unilag or IFE or UI. My father wanted me to study engineering and all of that. He would not compromise anything but engineering, so that kept me for some time at home and all of that. So I wrote JAM, was supposed to study engineering in Unilag. I didn't make the cutoff mark. I never knew that you could just purchase a change of course form for 500 naira. There was this guy, I'll just keep his name. He was living in the hood with us. So he told my parents that with 25,000 that he could get the form and change it, not knowing that he had conned my parents. So the day we got to know, the period had expired by a day, so there was nothing they could do about it, and the vice chancellor was not ready to compromise and all of that. I mean, I could have bought the form yesterday for 500 naira, and this guy had collected 25,000 like 4 weeks ago, so he kept on deceiving us and all of that. And I had a professor, family friend, Professor Bidairo, in LASU. So my mom went to him and said, why don't you bring Ayo to LASU to come and study? So when we got to LASU, I looked at the place, looked around, and I said, no, this is not meant for me. And they took me there and they looked at my results and said, you did well in chemistry. Now, why don't you come and study chemistry? You have A3. I need to study chemistry. I said, no, I don't want to study chemistry. I saw chemistry as a single course. I never knew that it was so large. And in fact, chemistry is the best course for anybody to read. Very, very large. And he said, okay, if you want chemistry, why don't you study fisheries? I said, no. And I wanted to go back home. He said, okay, let's strike a deal. Why don't you just while away your time in LASU? By next year, you go to Unilag. So I decided to stay. And I have a friend then, his name is Ayodele Adewale. He's in UK now. I remember before getting admission into LASU, he would come a year before to narrate what had happened in school to me, that they had crises, soldiers came, police came, they were shooting tear gas, XYZ. The student union president was arrested and all of that. So I said, well, that's a terrible school and all sorts. Then he was not telling about the student union. So after saying all of this, I said, come on, if I come to your school, I would like to join the union and become the student union president.
So that's what attracted you?
No, I'm coming. He said, you did money boy. Come to, it's not meant for people like me, that I should just get out. I said, how do you mean? He said, I'm not a tough looking person, that is not meant for people like me, that even if, and I don't have the stuff, that even if I gain admission, no science student had ever won the election, and if they rotate it, that it might take 7 years before he get to science. I said, okay. A year after, I got into LASU, so he dragged me from the lab. I was in the lab that day with my lab coat. So he dragged me from the lab to the parliament. We had the student union parliament, we had our judiciary, and of course the executive. So I just became a parliamentarian. Then I was running from the lab, shot me from the lab to this at the back of the Senate building was where the parliament was sitting, and I was just jostling. I remember my first time in the parliament. SOB Agunbi Ade now in the House of Assembly was also a parliamentarian. So we were meant to sit at the back. Now the senior parliamentarians would be in the front. So I just saw this guy talking and talking and talking. Sarumi was our speaker. I said, point of order, Mr. Speaker. Then the SOB looked at me like, who is this 100 level student that had the effrontery to question him? And quite frankly, I got into school a bit older. Not that I was very, very young. And the speaker said, order what? So I quoted the point of order. He now asked SOB to sit down. For SOB, that was it. Let me not use any foul language. That this 100 level student telling a 400 level law student to sit down. So I pushed my position and I became known in the parliament. So ever since I was talking and all, and that was how it began. And of course, not to forget that we lacked a lot of amenities. Then lacked a lot of amenities.
Were you actually a mommy's boy?
Not really. In the context of a weakling, no.
In the context of being pampered?
In the context of being pampered, no. Not really. That was how he phrased me. You understand? Because we were always in the house. Like people will say now in the street language that you are almost get inside. You understand? And if you want to say no, I'm off age, you will say no, I am not almost get inside. You understand? Something like that.
Right from LASU, you got interested in politics. Is this what...
I didn't get interested.
Okay, you got into politics.
I didn't even get into it.
But you got it. You were in the students' union. That's
yes, I ventured into it.
What do you mean?
It was a venture. I didn't walk purposely towards it. No. As a science student, we lacked a lot of amenities in the laboratory. We never had seats to sit down. We were sitting down on broken furniture, cupboard, closet, like that. We had a situation whereby 7 students were meant to share 1 pipette and 2 test tubes. Water was not running from the tap. Then, when we went to sit for exams, students would go on protest, even lecturers. The environment was not habitable. And we had just worked for one of us. His name is Babaremi Wright. Wright won the election as the faculty president. And we now told Wright that look at the condition that we are facing. That why don't he go discuss with the vice chancellor? So Wright was scared. So ordinarily, I didn't want to come to LASU. So I saw it as an opportunity for me to just pay me out and let me just go. So I led the protest. Carried the placards, students were following me, and the VC heard and he started coming down, and he met us. I said, I'm sorry, you're no longer our vice chancellor. You have ceased being our vice chancellor. We don't have amenities, we don't have this, we don't have that, and it has been brought to your notice severally, and we cannot continue this way. So he was shocked. Now, who is this 100 level student? And I was able to present my case very, meticulously without being vulgar. And of course, we had the support of ASU and all of that. So that was what ventured me in. And more so, I remember there was a protest on campus there because I love taking photographs, and I will never put on a shirt without a crest and all of that. We were more of the club boys, so to speak, and all that on campus. So Chief Ayodele came to talk to us, and he spoke to us about the situation in the country and what we were facing on campus. Our president had been incarcerated for about 6 months. He was incarcerated before I came into LASU, so I joined them. And one of the notable experiences I had was when the soldiers were coming to attack us on campus, and I said, why don't we go and pick the students, the primary school students in the campus, to join us, and we know that if they stand by us, the soldiers won't be able to shoot at us. So we went to the LASU staff school, got the primary school student, spoke to them. They didn't understand it.
Do you think that was a gamble?
It wasn't a gamble.
Supposing they had shot.
So be it. We were fighting for our rights. We were fighting against Chief M.K. Abiola's incarceration then. Because this is a build-up. It started building up. So
when you said you are from a very strict background, didn't you fear your parents' repercussions?
I think it is a turning point.
Well, we're going to take a break right now, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Ayodele Adewale. Welcome back, and you're still watching the Sunday interview, and we still have with us Ayodele Adewale. Now let's talk strictly politics. You served 2 terms as a local government chairman. What do you think endeared you to the hearts of the people for them to bring you back for a 2nd term?
Well, because we made positive impact on their well-being. Before I came into the office, there were so many things that needed to be done, particularly as it concerns infrastructure development, environmental upkeep, and of course creating a sane system within the local government environment, and improving on the welfare of staffs, and of course the environment where they work. So readily as somebody from the area, I've known a lot about this community because I've been here since '79. I was here when this community was at its prime and was a very lucrative area, and I also saw when the decline set in, and I know what led to it. And while campaigning, the major question that people were asking is that, am I going to take Festac and Amuwo-Odofin back to those nostalgia years where everything worked? And I said yes, but that everybody must be committed to it. And upon that, they gave me their vote. But not just that, of course we had the older political class that never wanted to give me the opportunity. I found out that Baba Mojola of blessed memories, Chief Anthony Enaro, Dr. Beko and some Kuti, Professor Adebisi Olumide-Ajayi, because I had worked with them at the Pro-National Conference Organization as mobilization officer at PRONACO, and many of these postulations that we're putting together, I told them that, look, I would love to run as chairman in the local government to practicalize many of these things. And Alaba Olajide, because it was our platform here at the local level that I used. She died some few weeks into office as the executive secretary of the local government. I had campaigned and worked for her vigorously. And at 28, while I was 28, she died. So the leadership of our caucus wanted me to swear to an affidavit that I was 30 so that I could run for the office. And I said, no, that is wrong. So I waited. So at 33, 5 years after I ran, and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu played a very prominent role in making sure that I win that ticket, and Governor Rauf Aregbesola, because I had no money to start with. I never had the mass-based political structure that was required, and of course money will play a lot of role. And Governor Rauf Aregbesola and Asiwaju, after being talked to by Papa Enaro, Dr. Beko and Professor Adebisi Olumide-Ajayi, that look, why don't we also give a youth a chance? So they gave that backup and all of that. So I was able to win that election. And I told people that, look, after God, these are the people that I owe a lot of responsibility and allegiance to. And if I do it wrong, then I'll be letting them down.
But do you think maybe some of your reforms were too drastic and that brought about the assassination attempt?
Well, there was no drastic reforms. It wasn't so. It was that people were not willing
to change.
Some people were not willing to change. Just like having any society, these are areas where they fend from. These are areas where they make their livelihood from. You understand? You can imagine an area where people make money from vandalizing oil pipelines. People make money from cyber crimes, from drugs, and so many things. These are things that were abound here, and these were the things that we were confronting.
But don't you think that by setting up the NGO, the IT school that you set up, would have encouraged them to continue with cyber crimes?
I partner with NIT. People go into cyber crimes because they never saw the lucrative entrepreneurship part of it. They only saw the quick way of getting people to listen to you, and those people get conned. Those were the attributes that they had. But through NIT training, we were able to tell them that, look, you can use IT to create wealth without you going into crime. So it was not just teaching them other means of IT or other educational aspect of it, but areas where they can make good money and be internationally certified. Beyond that, we also provided soft loans at 1.5% of interest, microcredit, working with the LASME and Cowry Microfinance. We were able to pool 40 million and giving people without any collateral.
The pay rates, what was it like? Did people actually pay back?
They paid back because the money was there for them for a period of 1 year at 1.5% of interest. So it was not a burden on them. You understand? And we also use sport to create opportunity for so many youths. And the roads infrastructure, we had to reconstruct so many roads. Even before you go, you can just drive through the circular road. That was one of the biggest projects that we undertook. And at the riverine communities, we built schools. I employed over 800 non-pensionable staffs. Some were collecting 200,000 per month, some 100,000, some 170. The money has always been there. It's about prudency. I met one doctor. I left them with I left them with 28 doctors. I left them with 28 doctors, one physiotherapist. There was one physiotherapist. There was one medical psychologist that I left them with. We had pharmacists, and we were giving free drugs to people within the age of 0 to 16, 60 and above. And we gave over 14,000 uniforms and 420,000 notebooks.
Now, with all these achievements, what's your next step in politics?
My next step is to build my political party. You see, I look at the way people go fanatical about football. They even go to buy jerseys, buy souvenirs, buy this, buy that. Nobody paid them to start, chanting and supporting their club. Why can't we have such in politics, where you support your party and we have an ideological base where leaders are, recruited, and the political leaders at the top will also act like coaches. So the coach is the one that will field the players from amongst plenty of players that they have. The coach knows who to take care of the goalposts, know who to play the back, know who to play the forward and the center, and what have you. It is not for us to, I'm not saying anything is wrong about our ambition, but it's not for us to be over ambitious and say, look, I just must get this. If I don't get this, then you try to rock the boat.
Is that why you are so into the teachings of Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi?
Because of their values. Their values are people-oriented.
Who else are your mentors apart from these two?
Awolowo is my mentor because of his skill, entrepreneurship, governance, and what have you.
You must have been very young. You must be, most of what you know about Awolowo. I
read. And funny enough, in 1979, we had a black and white TV then. My neighbor, while we were living at 22 Road, A Close, was one of Awolowo's followers. We normally call him Baba Opawo. Okay. Because I remember, I can recount that I was watching the TV while they were counting the results. Then that was when I got to know of this young man then, Tunji Braithwaite. Yeah. I remember Tunji Braithwaite was the youngest among them. We were very young, but of course we're following. Then Chief Enao Thomas Sankara. Somebody at a point said, how do you mix a non-violent advocator with a military violent leader? I said, no. If you look at Thomas Sankara very well, he was not a violent person. Just as you have General Buhari that used a particular platform to try to, straighten Nigeria after that time. You understand? And that was the vogue then, because they wanted a society that would create opportunity for everybody. And you would have used such platforms if you saw that the society was going backwards and all of that. Then Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is also my mentor and a very good mentor. Then Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola is a very, very good mentor, and he's my mentor. I'm not to forget Professor Jaisola Akonde. These are people that I've worked with and I've imbibed a lot of things from them. I've read about Gandhi, I've read about Marx, I've read about Lenin, and so many ideologues.
I'm a socialist.
I'm a welfarist.
Anyway,
I'm a welfarist.
Depends on which angle you look at it from.
No, I'm a welfarist. I prefer welfarism to socialism. I prefer welfarism, equal rights, access to opportunity, and you develop according to your peculiarities. It is not the state that will tell you how far you should go. It is your ability that will determine where you get to.
On a last note, what's your dream for Nigeria?
My dream is, in my lifetime, I'm opportune and I thank God. I show just doggedness to help my generation to see a Nigeria that had the opportunity to elect their own leader without any obstruction or somebody annulling the election like they did during the June 12 era. I'm also happy that I partook in that process. I also partook in the coming of democracy. We were almost killed then. I was president of LASU, the military were there, myself Showore, that is now the Sahara reporter, had fought at the barricade at several instances against the military. And we thank God that through our effort and our leaders, like Shoyinka and the rest, we were able to bring democracy. But I tell people this is the second independence of Nigeria, come May 29. We are going to see a Nigeria that will stand among developed countries of the world. The sleeping giant has been awoken, and it's going to take its rightful position among superpowers of this world, and we have everything to make it happen.
Ayodele Adewale, thank you very much for coming on the program. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you for having me. I hope I can shake your hand.
You can shake my hand.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's all we have for you on the Sunday interview today. Do join us next week for another interesting episode. I am Adebisi Olumide-Ajayi.